Today on the DIY Designer, I'm showing you how to take old graphic t-shirts you've had sitting in a drawer and turn them into one-of-a-kind statement tops you're gonna wanna wear all summer long. Let's do it. Hey guys, happy Friday. Welcome to my channel. My name is Orly and this is the DIY Designer, and today I have a killer summer DIY for you. We are going to be transforming our old graphic t-shirts into these really great one-of-a-kind statement pieces that are more like blouses. They're more like a top you would wear out as opposed to just a comfy, cozy graphic tee. Now this is something that you guys can do to old t-shirts that you already own that maybe you're not wearing, or maybe something that's really sentimental but the style is just not your style. Or you can hit up your local thrift store and just load up on a ton of cool graphic tees so that you can do all of these, because we are doing 4. Now this is an amazing DIY for beginners because each one is super simple. There's only one that you really need to sew. The rest could be totally no sew, and while I'm gonna be sewing them, I am gonna walk you through how you would do it if you did wanna do it no sew. Fabric glue is gonna be a great option for these. Super simple, super fun. I absolutely love the way they came out and I can't wait for you guys to take a look. You're gonna love it. It's a really good one. All right, we're gonna start with this Adidas tee and these amazing zippers. I found these dual separating zippers at Joann's and I love them because this was kind of like a neon orange, which I thought looked super cool with this thrifted Adidas shirt that I found. Now the reason that you want dual separating is that the top part is gonna open, which is gonna create our armhole. And then the bottom part you can open to just create more dimension, have it open, have it closed. You'll see at the end, it's super cool. Now for all of these shirts, we're gonna cut them when they're folded in half. So every time you do it, just make sure that you take your time. Fold it in half, always double check your shoulder seams, your t-shirt, your hems, your underarms, and your graphic. Make sure that the graphic is centered because a lot of these old vintage shirts, they kind of get twisted and turned on you. Now, I'm cutting it basically into like a slightly angled rectangle. I basically follow the line so that it's a little bit more narrow in the shoulder than on the bottom, but essentially we're just cutting rectangles. There's a few ways that you can attach your zipper. One option is doing it sort of the proper way, which is going face down like this with the teeth facing the wrong way. You would stitch it and then fold it back, press it, and top stitch. However, I want as much of this cool zipper to show as possible, so I'm gonna make mine fully exposed. So you can see right now I am pinning it directly onto the shirt with the teeth going the correct way, facing outward. That way I get all of that really cool neon zipper tape on the outside, and I'll show you how you're gonna sew that down. One option here would be fabric glue though. Obviously you can see how easy this would be to fabric glue it. Just a simple thin line of fabric glue all along the edge of your shirt and then tap the zipper into place. Now, when you're pinning it, what's really important is remembering that these zippers need to function. So always make sure that when you unzip it, you are using both sides of the zipper for the right side of the shirt and then both sides of the zipper for the left side of the shirt. So that means that the front should be one side and the back should be the other. That way when you put the shirt on, obviously those two sides match up on the side. You just wanna take an extra second to double check that before you pin it and sew it so you don't accidentally do it the wrong way. Now, when you get to the shoulder, you just want to figure out how you're going to clean finish it. I could not believe it, but my zipper was the exact length of my shirt. It was bizarre when I got to the end and I'm like, oh my God, look at that. So literally I just cut a tiny bit off the edge of one and then overlapped them and pinned them. And when I sew, I'll make sure to go really carefully. Now, I am using a zipper foot and I'm also moving my needle all the way to the right, because what you want to do is you want to stitch as close to the edge of that zipper tape as possible so everything lays super flat. You don't want a little edge that can curl up on you. So I'm just gliding my zipper foot all along the edge, and because I move my needle over, it is tacking it down just right to the edge. You're gonna go up and over the shoulder, do the same on both sides, and now I'm trimming my excess. If you have an overlock machine, you could have overlocked the edges of your shirt before you sewed it to your zipper. I don't, so I'm just cutting off my excess. Now this is how it works. This is why the dual separating is really cool. You're gonna put it on. This top one is going to be able to go all the way up to create your armhole, however high, however low, however much skin you want to show or not. And then same with the bottom. I can either leave it completely closed or I can open the bottom to create a side slit. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Again, remember you fold your shirt in half, you double check everything, and now I'm cutting. This one I'm making a little more narrow on the shoulder, and I'm gonna make it cropped as well. So I'm measuring right now on myself, and for me, from the center front neck down was about 16 inches, was the crop I wanted. I don't want it super short, but I don't want it quite as long. So cutting everything, and now you can see basically I have a rectangle of fabric, but I kept the existing neck hole. Now this stuff is super cool. This is hook and eye tape, basically. It is on a cotton twill, and it's kind of like giant oversized hook and eyes. We are going to attach them similar to what we did with the zipper. Just remember that you need, kind of in the same way, you need one side of the hook to be on the front and then the side with the eye to be on the back, or vice versa. You just want to make sure you do that. That way when you put the shirt on, they hook together, and that's what creates your armhole. So you're gonna do the same thing, open the shirt totally flat with the neck hole in the middle. This makes it very easy to pin, and you're just gonna line it up. Make sure that the hooks, or actually this is the eye, make sure that the eye is facing outward. That's how you wanna do the trim. And then when you get to the shoulder, you're gonna switch and you're gonna grab the hook trim. Now again, make sure the hook is facing outward. Take your time on the shoulder and then just work your way down very simply. Again, this could totally be fabric glued. I'm gonna stitch all along this center line, but you could very easily fabric glue this and make it totally no-sew. Now I tried it on, and I just hooked what felt like the most natural armhole for me to make sure everything was good, and it was. So now I'm just trimming off the excess. I gave myself a few extra hook and eyes just to be safe. Didn't end up needing them, so I'm trimming it, and this guy is done. This is one of my favorite, actually. I posted it on Instagram, and everyone was like, oh my God, I need it. So I'm really stoked. Okay, this one's really fun. This is kind of crazy, but super fun. I am going to create like a bib shape. So I'm creating this rounded shape. Again, fold your shirt in half and line it all up and start cutting. I just like freehand it. If you want to create patterns, you can, but I just like to eyeball things. So I started off by creating the rounded shape on the bottom and then just met up with it on the top. Now, this is an old graphic tee, and you can see that while the center of the graphic is centered, the shoulder seams are not. Again, that's what I mentioned. Some of these old tees get a little twisted and turned. So even though I cut it evenly, it didn't look even. I just basically shave it off so that my shoulder seams are gonna be even, and now it's time to add this really fun trim. So I got this trim downtown, and I seriously, like right here, I was like, oh, did I not buy enough? I started having that panicky feeling. So I measured it out exactly, and look at this. Are you freaking kidding me, you guys? I was like 7 inches short. I was so mad when I realized it, but I decided I'm gonna go for it. I'll leave a gap in the back just to show you how to make it, and this week I'll run downtown and I'll grab some more. Now this one is gonna be no-sew, and this is basically how you would do all the other ones we did before. You will add a thin line of glue to the outermost edge of your t-shirt. Then you would take your trim and lay it right on top. Just line it up, tap, tap, tap into place. A really thin line of glue is all you need for this. You just wanna make sure to line up everything really evenly. And you can see there, I left a gap in the back, so at least it's even for now, and then I will go buy more of the trim and just kind of patch it right in. Now, we've got our bib, but obviously this would just like fly open, tatas out in the world, which we don't want. So I had this really fun metallic elastic, and basically I thought I could put them right on the sides, right under the underarm to close it. So I pinned it on just right in the front and right in the back into the ruffle trim, and I tried it on. After trying it on, it's perfect. However, I thought it actually would look better with 2 pieces of elastic. Not only does it give it like a better, overall look, but then it can actually hide a bra. So if you wanna do this, you could either use a thick piece of fabric, you could use like the scraps of the t-shirt, or a decorative trim, or a chain, anything that you want, but you basically just wanna close it up. You can either sew it or fabric glue it, whatever you want, but this one's done. This is actually one of my favorite, even though it's kind of kooky. Okay, this is our last one, and this is the only one that really does need to be sewn, and you'll see why in a minute. First thing I'm doing is cutting off my sleeves and keeping them intact. So to do that, you do a tiny little snip with your scissors, then get your scissors inside that hole and start cutting all the way around the armhole. We're gonna reuse these sleeves, so you don't wanna cut them open. You wanna keep them fully rounded. Basically what we have is a like muscle tank. I need to get to a rectangle. So I fold it in half and I cut straight across the top. And now I'm gonna cut straight across the sides. So I just have a slightly angled rectangle of fabric. we are gonna basically turn this into one of those like, almost like a peasant blouse. So this is gonna get drawstring, the sleeves are gonna get elastic, and it's all gonna get sewed to be basically a strapless peasant top. So first thing you wanna do is take graphic to graphic, right sides together, sew up your side seams. I did it with a simple straight stitch, and you can see basically it's like a rectangle of fabric, kind of like an oversized tube top. Now I am gonna slice it right down the center about 4 inches. You'll see why in a minute. This will allow you to wear it as a straight up tube top or do this really cool crisscross like keyhole. I'm gonna leave it raw, but what I do need to sew is my drawstring casing. So I fold down about 1 inch maybe. I just kind of eyeball it, up to you depending on the drawstring you're gonna put in, but you're just gonna pin it all the way down, all the way around, and you're gonna do the same thing with your sleeves. However, the sleeves are getting elastic. So you need to make sure that when you sew it, you leave a tiny opening so you can get the elastic in, feeding it all the way through. My shirt, because of that little keyhole, is already open, so I don't need to worry about that. Now I took the excess from one of my other t-shirts and I'm cutting little 1/2 inch strips. This is gonna be my drawstring. So I take the 2 pieces and I'm just sewing them together so that it's long enough. And one of the cool things with like this old cotton fabric is if you just tug on it, if it's a small enough piece and you tug on it, it just curls into itself, creating a spaghetti strap without needing to like sew it and flip it inside out and do that whole thing. So I take my little drawstring, I put a safety pin, and I do the scooch and slide all the way through my shirt until it comes through the other side. Now just pull it through and make sure it's even so that you have the same amount of drawstring on both sides and cut off any excess. Now for the elastic for the arm, you wanna put it on your arm and like feel what feels snug but not tight. You don't want something so tight that it's gonna start hurting, but you want it snug enough that it's gonna hold it in place. I cut 2 of those, put a safety pin on the edge, and then scooch and slide all the way through. Anytime you're doing something like this, make sure that with your other hand, you're holding the end of the elastic so that it doesn't inadvertently pull all the way through. Once it comes through the other side, connect it, stitch it, there you go, and now just tug on the shirt and it will, boop, it'll pop right in. Now all you need to do is sew close that little opening we left ourselves to get the elastic in, and the little sleeves are done. So this is the general idea. It's time to pin where you want the sleeves to be attached. Now, I recommend putting it on when you do this because it's not always the side seam, and in my case, it was not. You want to adjust the shirt so it has the right gathering and then pin them in place. Now, 2 options here. 1, sew it. The other, which I actually recommend, is safety pinning them. The reason you want to do that is that it will work and hold beautifully while you're wearing it, but if you want, you could take the safety pins off and have a regular tube top, or you could even turn it into a skirt. I love a 2-for-1. All right, guys, that's it. That's it. I'm gonna go model these guys. I love the way they came out. They're so fun and they're so easy to do. If you liked this video, I hope that you guys will share it with a friend or maybe screenshot it and post it on your social and tag me. You have no idea how much that would help me and the channel grow. I would appreciate that so much. So I hope that you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you next week for another great DIY. I love you guys. Have a beautiful week. Bye.
Justice is also trapping all the way from